Starting off our list at number 10 is Miley Cyrus and Emily Osment. I remember reading in a magazine when I was in high school that these girls weren't friends in real life, and I was pretty crushed. They played each other's best friends on the Disney show Hannah Montana, where they were practically sisters on the show. Emily's character Lily ends up moving in with Miley's family. They were that close. But apparently off screen, the two girls didn't get along with each other. Miley wrote an autobiography called Miles to Go, where she spoke about her relationship with Emily and her character Lily. She said, I quote, "The show felt real to me and I wanted my relationship with Lily to feel real too. I know it didn't have to, show business is show business, but I was disappointed. There were times when I didn't think we could ever be friends. We just couldn't figure out how to get along." It was reported that the two actors were actually constantly fighting with each other and easily became frustrated with one another while on set. Well, you know what they say, sisters fight. As the show progressed though, the two of them were able to find a common ground. They aren't necessarily friends these days since they are both working on different things, but Emily still supports Miley's music and even showed up to one of her concerts a few years ago. In at number 9 is Selena Gomez and Jake T. Austin. Selena first started on Barney and then danced around through Disney sitcoms and ended up on the hit series Wizards of Waverly Place. Selena and Jake played siblings throughout the series, which made their characters pretty equal. The show started out by really focusing on their whole family, but Selena's personal career started to blow up and her part in the show got bigger than Jake's. It probably wasn't personal, but it's just facts. You can see that her screen time increases throughout the seasons. She practically becomes the lead of the show. Rumors started to fly that Jake wasn't too thrilled about it. Could have just been a jealousy thing. Selena eventually made the decision to move on from the show, and Jake coincidentally tweeted during that time saying, I quote, "When artists' definition of growing with their fans is creating content they aren't even allowed to see." Yikes, little bro is throwing down some shade. Down the road though, many years later, we have seen photos surface of the whole cast reuniting and hanging out, so maybe they were able to work it out. Swiping the number 8 spot is Raven Simone and the Cheetah Girls. Who could forget when one of our favorite Disney girl groups fell apart? That was such a tragic time in my life. It was no secret that Raven was a complete star at the time. Let's be honest, she was the most famous one of the group. She starred on The Cosby Show, hanging with Mr. Cooper, and even had the lead role on her own hit TV series That's So Raven. So it wasn't all that surprising when we found out that she had some tension with the other 3 girls. Raven spoke about their girl group time together and said, "It was weird putting together young women our ages 19 to 22, one of whom had not been in the mix. I'll be honest, there were territorial issues, there were cat fights. It was not all peaches and cream off camera." This all makes sense, seeing as Raven basically said peace out and didn't show up for the final full-length movie Cheetah Girls One World, which was basically just a huge bummer for us fans because she's really the one that we wanted to see. No offense, girls. Next up at number 7 is Zendaya and Bella Thorne. The two beauties played best friends on the Disney show Shake It Up, but apparently struggled when it came to being friends off screen. Bella opened up about the relationship during filming and blamed the people involved in the show for causing unnecessary tension between them. Bella told J14, "Zendaya and I were put in a very unfortunate position where we were kind of forced to compete against each other, which made the whole first season of the show just very awkward for us. We wanted to love each other, but yet we were constantly being put against each other. It was always who's better at this and who's better at that. However, after the show ended and the two of them started their own individual careers, you never really saw them together. I think that we can all admit that Bella lives a more wild lifestyle than Zendaya now, but the two of them now have only nice things to say about each other, and both of them are a huge success, so there's really no competition going on here. Coming into the number 6 spot is Ross Lynch and Laura Morano. The two of them starred together and both took the lead roles in the series Austin and Ally. Rumors were always going around that maybe they were like dating in real life or had crushes on each other, but apparently it was the opposite. During an interview with J14, Ross was asked if he would ever date Laura, and he responded with, "Laura and I are kind of like a married couple. We argue a lot about who is always right. That happens a lot on set." He wasn't lying either, because Laura also agreed, saying, I quote, "It's kind of true." Apparently they bickered so much that when they joined the cast of Jessie, you could tell that the other cast members felt uncomfortable about their bickering. Laura admitted, I quote, "You could tell how awkward they felt. They thought they had to break us up." She went on to say that the bickering and tension is just who they are and it's nothing serious, but it's hard to tell if that's just an excuse or not. I don't know if I'm buying that. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Ashley Tisdale and Lucas Gabriel. This one I found hard to believe because I just love the two of them together, and they seemed like two peas in a pod throughout the entire High School Musical series. Ashley played the bossy girl Sharpay Evans, which seemed to annoy Lucas, who played her twin brother Ryan Evans. She said that when the two of them first started filming, he didn't seem to like her because he thought she was just like her character. She told People magazine, "We would hardly talk to each other because when I was auditioning for Sharpay, I screen tested with him and I was acting like Sharpay. I think he was like, who is this girl telling me what to do?" Good news is they were able to get to know each other and ended up becoming good friends. Fans, me, went insane back in 2017 when the two of them reunited on Ashley's YouTube for a duet of their High School Musical song, What I've Been Looking For. Seriously, I almost cried. The two of them joked about how they once actually hated each other. Ashley said, I quote, "We were not close, we were not good friends, we hated each other." And that's when Lucas chimed in right after saying, "Didn't get off on the best foot." But they are finally friends and the Disney world is at peace now. Here at number 4 with Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez. The two of them had a very on and off friendship throughout their time with Disney. Both of them worked their way up the Disney ladder at a young age, sharing screen time on Barney when they were just little tots. They went on to star together in a Disney TV movie called Princess Protection Program, and that's when a boy got in between them. Stupid boys. Reports were made saying that when Justin Bieber entered Selena's life, Demi wasn't a huge fan of him. She didn't really give the best friend approval, and it caused a lot of fights between them. One day a paparazzi asked Demi how Selena was doing, and she quickly responded with, "Ask Taylor Swift." The two of them grew apart, and Demi made one final statement through an iconic tweet, which I still remember to this day. It is a series of pictures of Demi in the water, literally swimming away, and it says, I quote, "Swimming away from your bullshit by." She even unfollowed Selena on Twitter. Well then. The feud wasn't permanent though, and the two girls went on to be good friends. Alright guys, at number 3 is Debbie Ryan and Sky Jackson. They starred alongside each other in the series Jessie, where the two of them seemed to be like the best of pals on the show. The feud started after Demi attended the Kids' Choice Awards. She started tweeting out all about the fun she was having, and a Twitter user asked who she was sitting with, and she said the kids from the cast of Jessie. But then someone else commented saying that they were surprised to hear she was sitting next to Sky since she talked about her. Debbie clearly wasn't aware about this and responded with, "That's sad, but not really my business." According to J14, Sky had a secret Twitter account where she accused her co-star of bullying her. A fan asked Debbie directly about the situation and she gave a very lengthy response. To sum it up, she said, I quote, "I won't speak about specific people because it's unprofessional to slander coworkers online. But if I had one wish for every child that's an actor, especially those that tend to be the mouthpiece for parental maliciousness, I'd wish for complete contentment, emotional security, and that they'd somehow find joy in telling stories." Damn. Who knew all this drama could happen on a kids show like Jessie? Taking the number 2 spot is Dylan Sprouse and Joe Jonas. Low-key gonna be honest with you guys, I had no idea this ever happened. Like, this is literally new information to me. In 2013, Joe Jonas wrote a first-person essay for Vulture where he shared how he and his brothers, the Joe Bros, felt like they couldn't stand up to the Disney network. He wrote, "We went along with it at the time because we thought Disney was our only real shot, and we were terrified that it could all be taken away from us at any moment." I mean, I think that's fair to say, but apparently Dylan Sprouse didn't. The Sprouse twin shared on his Tumblr what he thought about Joe's essay and said, "I think it's bullshit that they were being robbed of choice or creativity. If they wanted to, they could have told Disney no. Cole and I did this hundreds of times and we ended up alright." He went on to explain that he thinks it's just an excuse and even went as far as saying the Jonas Brothers, I quote, "fell for the allure of fame." Quite a bold statement to make there, Dylan. Not sure where the two of them stand currently, but reports say they haven't spoken to each other in many years. Today our number 1 spot is Miley Cyrus and Selena Gomez. Both of these ladies have already been on this list with other co-stars, but no one could forget this legendary feud over the one and only Nick Jonas. That's right, these two girls like the same guy at the same time, which we all know at 16 years old is pretty much like the world ending. Selena Gomez was a guest star on Miley's show Hannah Montana, where their characters were always feuding, which was coincidental since off-screen they were always fighting over Nick. It was a silly feud that definitely went too far. Selena teamed up with Demi at the time, and Miley teamed up with her friend Mandy, and the four of them had a battle between YouTube videos where they called each other out and made fun of each other. It was silly and childish, let's be honest, but at the time, it was some serious shade. To make one thing clear though, Miley dated Nick first. But as the Disney stars all grew up, the feud quickly faded. In 2016, Selena told W Magazine that the feud was non-existent. She said, "We never feuded, we both liked the same guy when we were 16. It was just a Hilary Duff Lindsay Lohan thing. Oh my god, we like the same boy. We are now completely settled in our own lives." I mean, I feel like she's kind of downplaying it because the whole thing was silly, but at the time it was epic. I literally lived for it. Starting off our list at number 10 is the Donald Duck Holocaust controversy. I feel like Donald Duck and Holocaust should never be in the same sentence together. Some would think the most controversial thing about the silly duck character is the fact that he doesn't wear pants. But nope, apparently no one even cares about that. Maybe you didn't even notice that. Back in 2012, Donald Duck appeared in a cartoon in Germany giving a speech to the Duckburg Fire Brigade, and there was a text bubble that was supposed to say, "Congratulations." However, someone screwed that up somehow and used the word Holocaust written in German instead. It was also published in the English original, and once people pointed out the so-called mistake, the magazine got recalled with editors going in and literally blacking out the word by hand while they printed a new edition with the correct word. Obviously, it caused a ton of controversy because it's hard to believe that someone would mistake the word congratulations for Holocaust. Just doesn't make any sense. And at number 9 is Ride at United Kingdom takes off passengers' fingers. Yes, it is exactly what it sounds like. I don't think it really needs any further explanation, but I will give it to you guys anyways. That's kind of my job. If you've ever been to Disney's United Kingdom amusement park, maybe you've wondered why they tell you to keep your hands inside the car ride of the Pirates of the Caribbean. Well, back in 2014, a passenger found out the hard way. If you've never been on the ride, you sit in a boat that aren't just floating down the canal like you might think. They're actually hooked up to some sort of underwater railway that pulls your boat along the track using a series of chains. When you get on the ride, passengers are asked not to put their hands in the water, and now you can understand why, because one's fingers could get caught in the chains. That's exactly what happened to a British passenger who got his hand caught in the chains and ended up losing 4 of his fingers. Disney faced some heat, saying that the ride should have a better system and that kind of danger should not be accessible, especially for a children's ride. But in my opinion, it's kind of like follow the rules. They told you not to put your hands in the water. What do you guys think? Is Disney to blame for this? Coming in number 8 is Disney being named Sweatshop Retailer of the Year. There's an award you do not want to win. Back in 2001, Disney was named Sweatshop Retailer of the Year by Oxfam Canada and the Maquila Solidarity Network. It was a part of the Sweatshop Retailer Awards, also known as the Sweaties, which is basically like Razzies but for terrible corporations instead of terrible films. Disney took the number 1 spot based on their awful working conditions in a handful of their Chinese supply factories. It was reported that these factories have employees working 90+ hours a week for a ridiculously low pay. Also, the workers were exposed to dangerous chemicals and they were living in overcrowded sweatshop dormitories. Of course, we can assume that they have cleaned up their act by now since it's been almost 2 decades, but our assumptions could be wrong because in 2016, more reports surfaced describing the same issues in different supply factories. Sliding into number 7 is the Donald Duck mascot being inappropriate. What is with Donald Duck? He has some weird reputation going on. One thing that Disney theme parks are known for is their huge collection of character mascots. People adore the meet and greet events where kids are able to interact and take pictures with their favorite Disney friends. But one person behind the mask of Donald Duck was a little too friendly. Back in 2004, a woman sued Disney World over the allegation that one of their actors dressed as Donald Duck had touched her inappropriately while they were posing for a picture together. The investigation revealed that several other complaints had been made to the Orange County Sheriff Department regarding similar allegations of Disney's mascots. The case was settled, and it is one that Disney really wants us to forget about. They might be more careful when selecting their actors now. And at number 6 is the Moana brown face costume. Moana was Disney's first movie to focus on Polynesian culture and was praised for it. Not to mention the movie had a strong young female lead, which was awesome. They gained a lot of respect and love from the Disney community, but then they had to go and ruin it all by releasing a Halloween costume. Back in 2016, they released a kid's costume based on the character Maui. The costume suit was a brown bodysuit with his character's signature tattoos. They were hoping that kids would be excited to wear the Polynesian skin for Halloween, but instead it offended a lot of people who thought that it was brown facing. Disney decided to pull the costume from shelves after seeing the backlash and released a statement saying, "The team behind Moana has taken great care to respect the cultures of the Pacific Pacific Islands that inspired the film, and we regret that the Maui costume has offended some. We sincerely apologize and are pulling the costume from our website and stores. To be fair, their apology was nice, but by that point the damage had already been done. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Animal Kingdom controversy. When it opened back in 1998, it caused a ton of controversy. It was known for its animals and how the theme park replicated wild animals' natural environment, and it was hoping to promote animal conservation. However, it ruffled the feathers of people from PETA, and turns out that their concerns were actually justified. It was reported that Animal Kingdom was responsible for 31 animal deaths. Among the deceased animals were 4 cheetah cubs who died after ingesting a toxic chemical, and 2 West African crowned cranes that were run over by park vehicles. An investigation was done, but Disney was cleared for any deliberate wrongdoing. Animal Kingdom is one of Disney World's most popular attractions and still remains open today. However, it still remains a controversy because just a few years ago it was named the 10th worst zoo for elephants in North America by animal rights group in defense of animals. Poor Dumbo. Like, what would Dumbo think of all this? In spot number 4 is Disney being charged for negligence, yet another lawsuit on their hands. Jeez, Disney. We all know how famously known Disney's parades are. They make their rounds on a set schedule and are loved by pretty much everyone and anyone. They are a lot of fun. Anyone who has ever been to Magic Kingdom will tell you all about the parades where hundreds of people gather to see the dozens of gigantic floats. Well, an incident happened back in 2004 when a Disney employee was dressed as Goofy and got into an accident during the parade. Turns out the Goofy mascot walked behind the float into a loading dock area, and the float's operator did not see the performer where he was standing. As the float started to move into position for the parade, it trapped the performer in place and left him with fatal injuries. An investigation had to be done by OSHA and Orange County Sheriff's Department, and Disney ended up being charged for negligence. They were forced to pay a pretty hefty fine for their unsafe labor conditions. Never a good look for a company. Here we are number 3 with Song of the South. There's one movie that Disney fans will probably never get to see because it's so controversial that Disney has buried it for many years. That movie is a 1946 film called Song of the South. You might know the famous song from it, the Zippity Doo-Dah song, and if you don't, that's too bad because I'm not going to sing it for you. The song won a 1947 Academy Award, and the movie itself is what launched one of the most beloved attractions of Disney theme parks, Splash Mountain. The problem with the movie is that it was viewed as incredibly racist, especially if we're going by today's standards. The movie was about a former black slave amusing white children with fun stories and songs. The movie also had a character called Tar Baby, which was a very negative connotation for African Americans. To sum it all up, Disney refuses to release the film to home video and probably prefers that it remains forgotten and in the past. And I'm just ruining that for them. In spot number 2 is the alligator accident. A lot of people go to Disney World not knowing that it's basically built on top of a swamp. It has several family-friendly resorts where people felt safe until Disney gave them a reason not to. Back in 2016, there was a tragedy at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort where a family from Nebraska suffered from a very unexpected loss. While enjoying their time on the resort, a gator came out of nowhere and pulled one of the family members into a natural body of water. They weren't able to locate the body until a few days later, and it was already too late. After the incident, Disney was obviously mortified, and they have since removed all references to crocodiles and alligators from the Magic Kingdom. They don't want to remind people of what happened, I'm sure. This included the statue of Rudest, the alligator from The Princess and the Frog, and also the crocodile from Peter Pan. They have both been removed from various attractions. They also doubled down on its security and capture of the gators, but with its location it makes it difficult to get them all. Taking our number 1 spot is the John Lasseter sexual misconduct allegations. This is never good. He's a Toy Story director and was also the chief creative officer of Disney and Pixar Animation Studios. Back in 2018, he announced he was taking a 6-month sabbatical after sexual misconduct reports were made against him from some of his fellow employees. The allegations claimed he inappropriately touched female employees on several different occasions. Disney fans were wanting him gone for good and started a trending hashtag on social media, #LoseLasseter. Not long after, they did announce that after December 31st, he would be leaving the company. However, he did leave on a good note, which might be frustrating for a lot of people. Disney's CEO shared a very positive statement about all the great things John has achieved during his time with the company. Then, John posted his own lengthy statement, and in it he said, I quote, "I am extremely proud of what 2 of the most important and prolific animation studios have achieved under my leadership, and I'm grateful for all the opportunities to follow my creative passion at Disney. Many employees didn't think it was fair that he was able to remain on their payroll for 7 months after the allegation claims, and think he deserved more punishment. But Disney probably wants everything to end on a decent note so that we can all overlook the fact that one of their biggest creators might have sexually assaulted people. Starting off our list at number 10 is Selena Gomez and the Sprouse twins. Maybe you forgot that they all worked together on the show Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. This was actually the twin show, and many people remember Selena for her time on Wizards of Waverly Place, but we all know in the Disney universe everyone kinda works with everyone. Since the time they filmed together, the boys have come forward admitting they didn't really care for Selena too much while working with her, and claimed that she had, I quote, a diva attitude. I guess what happened was Dylan and Cole had initially planned to write and produce the last season of The Sweet Life on deck. Producers didn't care for the idea and came back 2 weeks later proposing the same pitch they did, but with Selena Gomez attached to it, which seems to just touch a nerve with the twins. Turns out that Dylan Sprouse held on to some form of grudge against her and took his feelings to Twitter back in 2013. He tweeted out, I quote, "Oh, I get it, Selena. Too good to follow your old pals Dylan and Cole, huh? This is just like when we were 12. Hashtag never forget." Damn, is he really being salty about her not following them on Twitter? First world problems. And at number 9 is Joe Jonas and Ali Michalka. You would probably know her as AJ though, from her sister duet, Ali and AJ. The two of them only had some bad blood towards each other because they were exes. They started dating after they were on the Cheetah-licious tour back in December 2005. Fans went crazy when they admitted to being each other's first real kiss off screen. However, it was cute for just a little while until they broke up in 2007 and Ali and AJ released a badass jam called Potential Breakup Song. It was obvious that the song was about Joe, and one lyric hit extra close to home for him because it was a true story. The lyric was, "It took too long for you to call back, and normally I would just forget that, except for the fact that it was my birthday, my stupid birthday." Turns out he legitimately forgot to call her on her birthday when they were dating. Yikes. Later down the road he spoke on it saying, "One time my ex-girlfriend sent me a piece of her birthday cake in the mail, and it was an ice cream cake. That's when I knew it was kind of over." Needless to say, it was a pretty messy breakup. Literally. Up next, number 8 is Rowan Blanchard and Uriah Shelton. These two co-stars from the show Girl Meets World. If you haven't seen it, it's a sequel to ABC's 90s hit show Boy Meets World. Real original. Rowan plays the main character on the show, and although the cast always appeared to be very tight-knit, there was one outcast who Rowan apparently didn't care for. Yes, you guessed it, Uriah Shelton. He plays her almost the same age as her uncle. It's a weird concept, I know. And his character kind of comes off a bit douchey, not gonna lie. But it might not be his character after all, because he liked a comment on Instagram that said, "Society doesn't need feminism," which seemed to rub Rowan the wrong way. And many other girls probably, who are probably feminists. Apparently he's posted some other stuff that hasn't really been PC. Rowan's followers started begging her to lay into the guy, but she ended up just taking the high road. She was openly upset with his remarks on the situation, but she never posted any derogatory comments in return. Good for you, girl. Sliding into number 7 is Lindsay Lohan and America Ferrera. Disney owns ABC, so I consider this to be an exception on this list. If we are getting technical, it is a Disney show. And Lindsay is involved, so you know that it's going to be a juicy story. So America plays the lead role of Betty on the sitcom called Ugly Betty, and they actually hired Lindsay for 6 episodes in hopes to boost the ratings. But apparently the two girls hated each other, so her 6 episodes were actually cut down to 4. In the episodes, Lindsay was playing one of Betty's old high school bullies, and Betty finally got even and pulls Lindsay's pants down. I remember being pantsed in grade school. That shit sucked. However, Linz didn't read the script beforehand apparently and didn't realize she was going to be pantsed. She was so embarrassed that she started crying, but that was only because she didn't have any underwear on, because she clearly was not prepared for the scene. This caused a whole bunch of tension between the two girls, and apparently ABC and Betty had other issues with Lindsay on set. They said that she was always smoking in her dressing room and showing up late. It was reported that ABC had to repaint her dressing room when she left because of how much she smoked. It like basically cooked into the walls. She left the show earlier than her original booking, and she was never brought back again. And now at number 6 is Miley Cyrus and Nick Jonas. Another bad breakup to add to the list. On our part 1 list, I told you guys all about the beef between Selena and Miley because they both had their hearts set on Nick. But Miley ended up winning his heart over first, and the two of them dated. The Joe Bros admitted that Miley was Nick's first kiss and first real girlfriend. He was pretty much head over heels for her, but things went sour and they ended up breaking up back in 2008. That is when Miley pulled a Taylor Swift and wrote a song about her ex-boyfriend called 7 Things. Side note, this song is still my jam. I listen to it all the time. But in the song, she lists the 7 things she hates about Nick. There was one cute moment where she listed the 7 things she likes, but the entire video concept is about girls destroying their ex-boyfriend's things. And to make sure Miley got her point across to let Nick know that it was about him, Miley wore Nick's diabetes necklace in the video and even flashes a photo of him to the camera. You know, so that there was no room for any confusion. She wanted to make it as clear as it could be that the song was about him. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas, also known as JTT. Here's another ABC show that is Disney owned. Come at me, it made it on this list, it counts. They starred together on the hit TV series Home Improvement, which was the most popular comedy show between 1993 to 1994, beating out Seinfeld, Roseanne, and Friends. Now this is based on facts, nothing beats out Friends in my opinion. But anyways, point of the story is there was some beef between the two actors after JTT decided to leave the show out of nowhere to go study abroad. I'm sorry, what? Like you just up and left? Apparently that's how it happened, which made Tim Allen incredibly mad, obviously, when he found out the news. Maybe we wouldn't call this hate, but it was more of that like fatherly disappointment feeling. Things got even worse when JTT declined to show up for the series finale a year later. However, the good news is they were able to work it out, and eventually JTT made a guest appearance on Tim Allen's new show called Last Man Standing. This one has a happy ending. I feel like dads can never stay mad at you for too long. In the number 4 spot is Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens. The two of them were best friends immediately when they got casted to play each other's love interest in the High School Musical series, and it didn't take long for them to start dating, and fans were more than okay with it. They were super cute. They ended up dating for 5 years, and it was a huge heartbreak for the Disney universe when their relationship came to an end back in 2010. 10 years after the series ended, they were going to do this epic 10-year anniversary with the cast, but word on the street was that Vanessa would not do it if Zac was going. In 2016, a source revealed to The Hollywood Life that, I quote, "Zac and Vanessa are on bad terms and they don't want to see each other. Things would be awkward and there would be a lot of issues that would come up and they wouldn't feel comfortable faking it in front of cameras." Luckily, Zac couldn't make it to the reunion, which fans were pretty bummed about. I wanted to see him. And whenever Vanessa is asked about him, she doesn't have anything nasty to say, she just keeps it as they simply don't talk. Alright guys, we are at number 3 with Demi Lovato and Zendaya. There has been some tension between the two girls on a few different occasions. One of them was back in 2011 when Zendaya made a joke on her show Shake It Up that poked fun at eating disorders. In the episode, her character says, I quote, "I could just eat you up. Well, if I ate." This did not sit well with Demi, who has been in rehab before for bulimia, and she took her opinion to Twitter. She said, "I find it really funny how a company can lose one of their actresses from the pressures of an eating disorder and yet still make a joke about that very disease. What are we promoting here? Hashtag not funny at all." Zendaya faced some of the heat for it because although she didn't write the script, she was okay enough to go through with the joke. Later down the road, in 2015, another issue with body image caused more tension between the two of them and their fans. One of Zendaya's biggest dreams came true when Barbie created a new doll that was inspired by her Oscars look, the silky off-white dress with dreadlocks in her hair. Everyone was congratulating her for inspiring many girls to embrace their unique looks, but the only thing Demi had to say was through a tweet. She said, "Hey at Barbie, what about a curvy doll or one with true to size measurements? All model. Hashtag raise your voice, hashtag be super." Fans were disappointed in her reaction, 1 for not congratulating Zendaya, and 2 for making it about her and body issues when this really had nothing to do with that. At number 2 we have Jo Marie Payton and Jaleel White. It's probably impossible to forget about the one and only Steve Urkel, but you might forget that his show Family Matters was one of the originals on the ABC network, which we all know is operated by Disney. And once you watch the show, you know that it resembles the fun Disney Family Channel type show. But apparently family isn't only what matters, and once Jaleel's character Steve Urkel was the big talk of the town, his co-star Jo Marie wasn't very happy about it. Reports have gone as far as saying that she hated him. If you haven't seen the show, she played the mother and apparently her character was supposed to be the big star. She was actually the one who inspired the creation of the show. Her character on the show Perfect Strangers inspired this spin-off. She got so mad about Steve Urkel stealing the spotlight that she ended up quitting the show altogether. Just quit. Up and left, and they ended up replacing her with another actress. Taking our number 1 spot is Amanda Bynes and Miley Cyrus. There is no denying that Amanda Bynes had a rough few years in the public eye with her bad habits, inappropriate Twitter rants, and issues with the law. We were all hella confused when she started just bashing other celebrities through Twitter. But one of them she attacked was a little more personal than other rants, and we're still not fully aware of what she had against Miley. Shortly after Miley and Liam broke up, the first time, Amanda tweeted out, "Liam Hemsworth is the most gorgeous man on the face of the the earth other than Tan Watson, FYI. Thanks for sharing, Amanda? After she faced some heat because she was supposed to be Miley's friend at the time, she ended up tweeting a direct tweet to Miley simply saying, "You're ugly," with a picture of herself, like a picture of Miley. Rumors went on years before all of this happened that Bynes and Liam actually hooked up, so you can imagine the tension that this would cause. Starting off our list at number 10 is Dylan Sprouse, who we all came to know and love in the Disney hit The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, or if you watch the TV show Friends, you would have known him as Ben, Ross's little son. After him and his twin brother Cole grew out of Disney Channel, they both went on to start their own acting careers as individuals. You can find his brother Cole in the hit TV series Riverdale, but you can't find Dylan in anything these days. Don't get me wrong, Dylan has been in the media over the years, but it hasn't been good attention. It started in 2013 when he dealt with a nude photo scandal. The leak of his nudes almost shut down the entire internet. The Disney star was seen by the world with his pants down, literally, when the pictures were leaked. He owned up to his actions and made humor of the situation by tweeting out sarcastic remarks like, "Whoops, guess I'm not 14 and fat anymore." His scandals continued, but his acting career didn't. In 2017, he was caught in a huge cheating scandal with his then girlfriend Dana Frazier. She had posted a picture on her Instagram of her crying and the caption read, "You find out your boyfriend cheated on you, LOL." The story blew up and Dylan tweeted his side to the story, which only caused more negative attention on him. Ever since, he is still working in the acting industry, booking smaller roles and working on some short films. It's a shame we won't find him on the screen like his twin brother. At number 9 we have Mitchell Musso, best known as Miley Cyrus's best friend Oliver Oken in the Disney show Hannah Montana. After Hannah Montana ended, he continued to do some other work on the Disney Channel, but once he grew out of it, that's where his acting career quickly faded out. His career took a big hit because in 2011, while still filming with Disney, he was arrested in Burbank, California on October 16th. Apparently, he didn't slow down for a police officer who was directing traffic for an accident, which had Mitchell pulled over. That's when they found out that his blood alcohol level was higher than the legal limit. Not only that, but Musso was under the legal drinking age of 21, so any alcohol in his system would have been charged as illegal anyways. He was charged with a maximum of 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine for both misdemeanor counts. Some believe he should have been charged more since it was technically a DUI and he could have killed someone. He was released on $5,000 bail and returned back to court in November. He hasn't had much of a career ever since. He finished some work voicing on the show Phineas and Ferb back in 2014. Since then, between the years 2016 to 2018, he did voiceover work for 3 episodes on a TV show called Milo Murphy's Law. I've never heard of it. Have you? Taking over the number 8 spot is Annalise Vanderpool, known as her role as Chelsea Daniels on Disney's hit That's So Raven. I loved her on the show. I thought she was absolutely hilarious. And I always wondered what happened to her after the show ended. Well, apparently what happened was that in 2006 she was arrested for driving under the influence with a whopping blood alcohol level of 0.19, with the legal limit being 0.08. Yikes, there is no flirting your way out of that one. She was arrested on July 10th after colliding with a parked car, which caused a domino effect in which she hit 2 additional vehicles as well. The police report states after hitting the parked vehicle, the defendant then lost control of her vehicle, traveled across the roadway, and finally collided with another vehicle. The court offered her 26 months probation and ordered her to pay $2,844 in fines and required her to attend and complete an alcohol education program. There was no way this wouldn't affect her career. Over the years, she continued working in the industry, but nothing in Hollywood that brought her to the big screen. She did return to Disney Channel with the spin-off for That's So Raven as her returning character as Chelsea. So it looks like Disney is giving her a second chance, but she'll only ever be known for her one role. She has yet to make her mark in Hollywood. And in all honesty, they couldn't cast anyone else for her returning role because that just wouldn't make any sense. In at number 7, we have Ryan Merriman. He might be known for his starring role in the movie Final Destination 3, however, before that he was a star on the Disney Channel. If you are a true Disney Channel fan, you would have seen him in the movies Smart House, The Luck of the Irish, and A Ring of Endless Light. But like the other Disney stars on this list, he also found himself in trouble with the law. Back in 2011, he was arrested in Newport Beach after police suspected he was driving under the influence. It seems to be a pattern with these celebrities and feeling the need to drive drunk. According to the reports that TMZ shared, he was originally pulled over because he didn't stop behind the line at a red light. Once the cops began talking talking to him, they suspected he wasn't sober. He was arrested and taken to a nearby police station where he spent the night in jail. It seems like spending some time in a jail cell was a wake-up call for him because he hasn't been in trouble with the law ever since. During the arrest, he was filming some episodes for his supporting role on Pretty Little Liars. After his time on the show, he went on to book some short movies and pilot TV series, but nothing that was produced by Hollywood directors or any that made it to a big screen. His latest booking was in 2018, where he was the host for a game show called The Jurassic Games. It's nice to see him still pursuing acting, but it's a shame that his last major Hollywood booking was back in 2014 when his role on Pretty Little Liars ended. Up next at number 6 we have Mischa Barton. She's mostly known for her role on the TV series The OC, but it was the Disney Channel that threw her into the spotlight. At the age of 17, she took the lead role in the Disney Channel movie A Ring of Endless Light, same one our number 6 actor starred in as well. Most young girls would have killed for her place in the spotlight, but when she looks back on it, she says that time took a turn for the worse. She claims her mentality at the time was work hard, play hard. She said she also felt intense pressure from her popularity, and she could feel that she was headed towards a mental breakdown. Her successful acting career continued after she moved on from Disney, and so did her partying. In 2007, she was arrested for a DUI, and then 2 years later she blacked out while taking a sedative and ended up in the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center psychiatric ward. The star began threatening suicide and couldn't handle all the criticism she was facing from the media. She took time to work on herself and also her career. After the OC, she went on to book some acting work, but nothing that you would probably know of. Her IMDb shows a long list of bookings, but they are all for small projects, short videos, or movies that never came out. Rumor has it we might see her face pop up in the MTV reality series The Hills: New Beginnings. But she wasn't hired as an actor, she just so happens to hang around some of the other celebrities that are in the show. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Debbie Ryan. She first stole our hearts when she joined the Disney cast on The Sweet Life on Deck, and became the newest Disney darling. She starred alongside the Sprouse twins until the series ended, and she landed her own lead role in her own series called Jessie. For years she was holding that innocent and clean image that Disney had, but that went out the window when she got arrested. Back in 2016, TMZ reported that the 22-year-old actress was driving in LA around 11 p.m. when she made a left turn and slammed into a Mercedes. The driver in the other car claims they got hurt, which caused cops to arrest Ryan for a felony DUI. Not just a DUI, a felony DUI. This broke the news, which completely shattered her Disney star reputation that everyone knew her for. Once the police found out the injury was minor, her charge was brought down to a misdemeanor. Her report also confirmed that her blood alcohol level was 0.11, which was over the legal limit, proving that she was in fact driving under the influence when she hit the other car. She was charged with 2 criminal offenses and tried to save her career by taking it to Twitter, apologizing for her actions and saying she hopes she can make things better. She booked a few short films in 2017 and was given another chance in 2018, where she worked on the Netflix series Insatiable. Turns out it didn't do so well, and another season was not picked up. It received a whopping 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. Sliding into the number 4 spot is David Henry, best known for his role on the Disney show Wizards of Waverly Place, where he acted alongside Selena Gomez, playing her older brother. He has always presented himself in a mature and responsible manner, but I guess he is an actor. Fans were shocked when the news broke that Henry ended up in jail. It first started in 2010 when David and his younger brother Lorenzo were arrested and held at the jail for starting a domestic fight. Turns out what happened was that security guards had pinned his brother to the ground because he was acting out of control. David began yelling and acting aggressive towards the security guards, who ended up throwing punches back and forth with him. The two brothers were eventually released, and the Disney star faced a lot of heat from the industry and fans. His career never took off after that, and if he was going to make a comeback, he ruined it last year in 2018 when he was arrested once again for possession of a loaded gun. In September of 2017, he was arrested at 9:05 a.m. at Terminal 2 in the LAX airport. TSA officers went through his bag and found the firearm, where he was then sent to the LAPD Pacific Division Jail. He was eventually released with his court date, where he will face charges for the loaded firearm. He took it to Twitter saying he unintentionally brought his gun, which he legally owns and is registered to his name. Now is not the time to be arrested having a gun. Not a good look. Alright guys, at number 3 we have Brian Bonsall, who you might recognize as the boy from Disney Channel's iconic movie Blank Check. It was the hilarious movie where his character was mistakenly given $1 million and he goes on that epic kid shopping spree. We all envied him as kids kids, let's not pretend. His career took off and he ended up taking lead roles in the TV series Family Ties and also Star Trek: The Next Generation. Most would say that he was on top of the world. Apparently that was all ending sooner than we all thought, as he began turning to punk rock, partying, and drugs by moving home to Colorado and attending school like a regular kid. On March 28, 2007, he was first arrested on charges of assaulting his girlfriend. He was found guilty and sentenced to 2 years of probation on August 31st. Only 2 years later, he was arrested again. On December 7, 2009, Badsal was arrested for third-degree assault and failure to appear in connection with the 2007 assault with his other girlfriend. Just when you think it doesn't get any lower than that, in February 2010, he was arrested on charges for using marijuana in violation of the terms of his release. He was sentenced to another 2 years of probation in April, so I think it's safe to say he won't be making a comeback anytime soon with a record history like that. In at number 2, we have Lelaine, who you might know as Hilary Duff's BFF in the Disney series Lizzie McGuire. The show skyrocketed the whole cast into fame and it appeared like the world was at their fingertips. However, not long after the show stopped airing, Lelaine completely vanished from the public eye. She didn't even appear in the big screen release of the Lizzie McGuire movie. She did an interview with Huffington Post where she refers to the years after Disney Channel as dark. She claims she went nuts and made bad decisions, one of them which had her get arrested for the felony possession of crystal meth in 2008. Things got even worse for the young starlet as she was a no-show for her court date appearance. That's when the judge issued a $50,000 bench warrant for her arrest. Last we heard about the case was that she enrolled in the Asian American Drug Abuse Program. Her IMDb shows that she is now working on some smaller projects, but her record remains with a serious felony charge that she can't undo. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Stoney Westmoreland in the Disney show Andy Mack. I think we often forget that not all Disney stars are kids. The young characters we all love have to have parents, teachers, and older influences in their lives, right? Well, that's where Westmoreland comes in, as he plays the grandfather on the hit show. On December 15th, 2018, he was arrested for allegedly trying to have sex with a person he believed was just 13 years old. Keep in mind, he is 49 years old. While chatting with the teen online, Utah police say he sent pornographic photos to the minor and asked the teen to engage in sexual acts with him and also send nude photos. On his way over to meet the teen, he was in a ride-sharing service where investigators say he planned to bring her to his hotel room, which is when the Salt Lake City Police Department and FBI Child Exploitation Task Force arrested him. He was charged with 4 counts that are all considered third-degree felonies. Following his arrest, Disney Channel confirmed that his role on the show has been terminated. I don't think we'll be seeing him in Hollywood anytime soon.
At number 10, Bella Thorne. If there's one thing that Disney hates, it's when people talk badly about them. They like keeping their brand as clean, drama-free, and family-friendly as possible, so when people, especially their former stars, come out with their stories about working with Disney and having negative attention thrown their way, Disney does the best they can to shut that person out and cut ties to save them the drama. This is the case for Bella Thorne, as she's done multiple interviews talking about her bad experience working for Disney, which, as you could imagine, hasn't made the company very happy. Bella has told sources about how they used to force her to speak in a higher pitched voice to seem more cute and wholesome, and she caused a scandal among executives when she was a young teenager because she was photographed in a bikini and Disney wanted to fire her for it. Disney has kept their distance from Bella since she left the company to pursue more mature roles, and now there is no chance that they will ever hire her back.
And at number 9, Edward Norton. Edward Norton is a very talented actor, but he is difficult to work with. Disney learned this for themselves after they cast Norton in The Incredible Hulk. After shooting that movie, he was not asked to return for any sequels because he was such a pain on set. And Disney has a reputation for not putting up with any entitled actors, so if the studio senses any unprofessionalism, they will cut an actor very quickly, which is exactly what happened to Norton. And they replaced Norton with Mark Ruffalo in the Avengers franchise. Since then, he has not appeared in any Disney movies, and I wouldn't assume that will change.
At number 8, Lindsay Lohan. There have been a number of former child stars that the media have dubbed a child star gone bad, and the majority of them being former Disney stars. One of the first celebrities that you might think of who fits this narrative is probably Lindsay Lohan, which is why they probably would never hire her again. There was a time when Lindsay was one of the most sought after young actresses in the industry thanks to Disney. From starring in films like The Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, Disney loved Lindsay, and this catapulted her career through her childhood and teenage years. But then there came a time when Lindsay sort of burned out and went down a dark path, so to speak. Soon she was in the media for misdemeanor arrests, drug charges, substance abuse, rehab, jail sentences, probation, and a number of other unfortunate happenings in her life. Since her time working for Disney, Lindsay has been in her fair share of Hollywood scandals, and as we know, Disney does not like bad press. Though she will forever be linked with the company since that's where she got her big break, they will no doubt forego hiring her for anything they are producing because of her tarnished reputation.
And at number 7, Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez might be the most famous Disney star ever, getting her start on the show Wizards of Waverly Place. She always remained very brand friendly in her years working with Disney and hardly gotten any scandals the studio would not approve of. But that all changed in 2012 when she decided to change her nice girl image and act in the movie Spring Breakers. This film was not only a flop in many ways, but it was very scandalous. She then produced the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why, another controversial show about bullying in high school and the devastating effects it can have. After shedding her perfect image, it's not likely the studio will work with her ever again.
At number 6, Jake Paul. Looking at Jake Paul now, you could honestly forget that he used to be a Disney star. I mean, you look at the guy post-boxing match, bloody and bruised, and it's hard to imagine that face on the Disney Channel. But before 2017, Jake Paul was a member of the cast of Bizaardvark until he got fired from the show. Though he was a pretty hard-working actor, something that was once his passion, he also was in the midst of running Team 10, and at this point it was still fairly new but incredibly successful. At this point in time, Jake was frequently in the news because of backyard fires, noise complaints, police calls, and just being a nuisance to his neighbors, something that they complained about often. After all of Jake's bad press, he got a call from the show's executives saying that they were going to start weaning him off the show and eventually took him off the show completely. Disney didn't need this kind of bad press from someone that the media was calling a YouTube rat. Jake didn't really seem to mind getting let go from his job since it allowed him to grow his YouTube presence even more, and I guess it worked out because now he's a really annoying boxer and I doubt Disney would ever want to hire Jake back.
Halfway at number 5, Vanessa Hudgens. Vanessa Hudgens gained notoriety from the hit Disney movie High School Musical. She was another star who stayed out of trouble and followed the rules during her time with the studio. But when she turned 18, she got into a scandal that ruined her relationship with Disney. In 2007, nude photos of Vanessa's were leaked to the public. These were photos meant for the eyes of her boyfriend at the time, Zac Efron. At that time, nobody was sympathetic about the leak. Rather, the public actually shamed her for taking the photos in the first place. At first, Disney wanted to cut her from the studio altogether, but High School Musical 3 senior year was set to film, and the franchise was so successful, they still decided to include Vanessa. However, they made her apologize for the photos first, which is so bizarre because her privacy was the thing that was violated. Since then, she hasn't appeared in any Disney movies, but has been successful in some other movies.
At number 4, Miley Cyrus. Even though so many of us loved seeing Miley Cyrus on the Disney Channel, apparently it was a nightmare for her. Over the years since leaving Disney, she has been very outspoken about her time on set, as well as how being a child star on the Disney Channel really hurt her. In interviews, she's told sources about scandals that she was a part of as a Disney star, like how she got in trouble for taking photos for a fashion publication because they weren't deemed Disney safe, and how she felt pressured to work through even the toughest moments of her life. As we know, Disney hates being seen negatively in the media, and so they pulled away from Miley, but when the 2013 Bangers era hit for Miley, they just completely banned her after that, putting an end to her time at Disney and severing all ties. I will say though, it would have been cool to see a Hannah Montana reboot, but that's probably never going to happen because Miley and Disney are at odds with each other.
And at number 3, Orlando Brown. Since starring alongside Raven-Symoné in the Disney show That's So Raven, Orlando Brown has been in a lot of trouble with the law. He's been charged on multiple crimes related to domestic violence, domestic battery, obstruction, and drug possession. After police were called during a fight with his then-girlfriend, they arrested and charged Brown, along with charging him on other crimes after they discovered illegal substances in his possession. He was also charged for a burglary in 2018, and to make things even worse, he was smiling ear to ear in his mugshot, which is very unsettling. Since Orlando has been in trouble with the law and served jail time, Disney will not risk tarnishing their image by hiring him.
At number 2, Shia LaBeouf. Some Disney stars are able to continue having a pretty decent acting career even after their time working for the company has ended. Even though they might not work for Disney, sometimes these stars are able to hold their own for the most part after leaving. This was seemingly the idea for Shia LaBeouf since he continued to be able to find success in the industry since ending his role on Even Stevens, but in recent years his trouble with the law and substance abuse has called down the Disney ban hammer, and now he makes a list of those who are unwelcome at Disney and who would never be hired by the company again. Shai has had multiple run-ins with police, being arrested multiple times over the years, and one of those times resulted in a racism scandal as he hurled racially charged remarks and disrespect towards a black police officer. He also had scandals involving public intoxication and violence, and his most recent scandal involves his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs and her lawsuit against him, where she alleged that he hurt her during the time that they were together. With all of this bad press, Disney no doubt is wanting to scrub themselves clean of their affiliations with the actor because of his bad place in the media, and definitely don't want to think about working with him again.
And finally at number 1, Terrence Howard. If you're a fan of Rhodes/War Machine in the MCU, you know that Don Cheadle plays those roles, but he didn't always play them, and originally Terrence Howard was cast in the role. Howard acted in the first film, but then Cheadle appeared in his place in Iron Man 2, prompting the question of why. Howard addressed it in 2013 on Watch What Happens Live. Howard told Andy Cohen that when it came time to make Iron Man 2, Marvel only wanted to pay him 1/8 of what they originally owed him. Howard even reached out to Robert Downey Jr. for help, who did not offer any support. Howard wasn't okay with the lesser salary, so they booted him from the film and made Cheadle his replacement. After this debacle, I doubt he will ever work with Disney again. So Brie, what do you think was the most shocking thing on the list?
Oh god, probably the whole thing with Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
His weird mugshot and just the energy.
He's been arrested multiple times. I think he's multiple smiling mugshots, so that makes things even worse. Why smile so much? So many times when breaking the law, I don't really know.
This man really said, "I'm the Joker," and ran with it.
Alright guys, so that's all for the video today. Let us know below if there's any that we missed for a part 2 potentially. I know there's a lot of stars that have worked with Disney that probably will no longer for many reasons, so again, let us know below.
Starting off our countdown is Miley Cyrus. She has talked about her Disney experience on more than one occasion, revealing the struggles she faced after taking on the epic role of Hannah Montana. Throughout her career, Miley has shared that she struggled with an eating disorder as a young girl and that she felt wearing makeup and a wig every day was the definition of what it meant to be a pop star. It was difficult for her to really find herself as Miley because the world knew her as Hannah Montana. Her mom is still her manager to this day, and she also admitted that Disney was not always the best to work for. She said she started understanding how many people were taking advantage of her young daughter and revealed that Miley was grossly, her quote, underpaid. It even came to light that Miley didn't even own her name during that time. Since her character outside of Hannah Montana was actually Miley Stewart on the show, they actually had rights to her name, Miley. Many reasons led up to her decision to quit in 2010, and even though she had a tough experience as a kid, she recently said she would totally do a reboot. So, but maybe now it's different because she's an adult. She can handle the Disney network. Coming up next, number 9 is Joe Jonas. He was just one of the brothers from the boy band The Jonas Brothers, but he took on the lead role in the Disney movies Camp Rock. In recent years, Joe wrote a piece for Vulture which highlighted his time at Disney. In the piece, he revealed that he and his brothers always had to sugarcoat their music and lives to maintain their innocent Disney persona. He said their lyrics actually had to be reviewed and approved by the Disney team, and if anything was too sexual or provoking, then they were told to change it. That was actually one of the main reasons that they decided to quit. He also said that Disney controlled their creativity too much, and he started to feel like one of their puppets. For any young child star wanting a music career outside of Disney, this would have been a good warning for them. Outside of the personality image that they had to maintain, he also hated the fact that he had to shave every single day to play a role that was much younger than he was in real life. That would suck as a man. Moving on to number 8, we have Hilary Duff. There have been a lot of conflicting stories about what exactly led to her decision to leave Disney and her lead role as Lizzie McGuire. But fans got some kind of confirmation back in 2003 when her mom did an interview with Entertainment Weekly and claimed it had to do with her paycheck. Susan Duff claimed that Disney was trying to bully her daughter into accepting whatever offer they wanted to make for a sequel to the Lizzie McGuire movie. Her mom said that Hilary ended up walking away from the sequel, but then Disney walked away from the whole franchise. Hilary also spoke about it and said that it really had an effect on her mental health, which is why she chose to bow out for a while. She said, "I was just making records and touring and making movies and then doing it all over again. By the end of it, I was like, I'm done. I don't enjoy this anymore. I'm not who I want to be." So I guess Disney is not paying their stars enough is what I am starting to realize. Sliding into spot number 7 is Selena Gomez. The Wizards of Waverly Place star left her Disney days behind and had no problem explaining to her fans why. It was a pretty simple explanation and was the classic case of feeling the pressure to live up to that innocent Disney image. She told the New York Times, "I was being held to this expectation of being the good girl. I knew deep down that this wasn't what I wanted to do, being exhausted of forcing something that wasn't right." According to Refinery29, she decided to break away from Disney and actually signed a new contract with Interscope instead. At that point, she allegedly let go of her mother acting as her manager and also had split up with her then boyfriend, Justin Bieber. This was a very big moment in her career, and that is when she released her album, Revival. Once the album was out, she admitted it was the first time that she could breathe and no longer felt like she had to maintain the Disney guidelines. No one really realized just how bad her time with Disney was, and fans were shocked to hear her admit that it actually made her depressed and put her in a really low spot in her life. Rolling into number 6 is Dylan and Cole Sprouse. The twins took over the Disney Channel with their hit show The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and then The Sweet Life on Deck. From the outside looking in, it seemed like they had the world in their hands. But they suddenly left the Disney network behind, and fans were shocked to learn their show would not continue. The boys have opened up about what happened and said they tried to pitch a spin-off idea to the Disney team, but they shut it down. Dylan explained and said, "When we had pitched our idea, it was kind of the situation where they had almost laughed in our faces." He then said Disney came back to them a year later with an idea that was essentially the same thing as their original pitch. That is when he said he and his brother Cole basically laughed in their face and walked out. That was the last meeting they ever had with Disney, and despite having years-long relationship with them, things ended up leaving on a very icy note. They have no problem warning others that Disney might steal your ideas, so keep them to yourself. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Rowan Blanchard. She gained a massive fan base from her time on the newer Disney show Girl Meets World. Fans were crushed when the series was cancelled after their ratings dropped. Forbes reported that the show lost around 3.6 million viewers between season 1 and season 3. But the one thing that people always loved was Rowan and the fact that she prompted the idea of intersectional feminism. Despite her young age, she rallied for the Me Too movement and openly discussed her sexuality. She made a conscious decision back in 2017 to part ways with Disney following the cancellation of the show. She did an interview with W Magazine and said she left because she felt controlled by them. But she didn't exactly say the name Disney Network, probably to protect herself, but people could piece it together. She said, "I worked for a corporation for 4 years that is known for silencing and crafting your voice. So with that, I just had to very much stand my ground and separate myself, which I think I did." She now says that she loves that she's not recognized anymore for her Disney character, but she's now recognized for her activism. In spot number 4 is Raven-Symoné. Fans were devastated when Raven left Disney for a while after her TV series That's So Raven became a massive success. But she shocked everyone when she signed on to do a spin-off of the original show called Raven's Home at 33 years old. Fans really didn't believe that she would work with Disney ever again, thinking that there was bad blood between them, but turns out there wasn't. Kind of. She did admit to feeling the pressure of having to try and fit the mold of Raven from the show, and not who she was in real life, which is also Raven. When she came out in 2016, she revealed that Disney was always very accepting of her and her sexuality, but that people involved in the network weren't. She explained that during the last season of That's So Raven, she wore jeans and a vest and tie, and one of the members went up to her mom and said, "She looks too much like a lesbian. Can you tell her to put on a skirt and makeup? Because then they'll accept her and come to her concert." As we know from other examples on this list, fitting the Disney look can add a lot of pressure to someone, especially someone who felt like they couldn't really express who they really were. Luckily, Disney has been more supportive and inclusive with the LGBTQ community since her original show. Taking over at number 3, we have Shia LaBeouf. If you followed his career, you would see that he is definitely one to experiment with new projects and avenues. But there was a route he refused to go down when he was working with Disney on the classic show Even Stevens. He did an interview with MTV and said that he stopped working with Disney because they were very controlling over where his career was headed. Turns out they wanted him to start a music career. When looking at Disney, most of their stars started out with acting and then went into singing as their career grew. Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Hilary Duff. to name a few. Even Raven-Symoné. During his interview with MTV, he said, "I never came out with a music thing, even though Disney will push you that way." He went on to say that he always felt out of place at Disney and never felt like he truly belonged. Can you guys just imagine, like, Shia LaBeouf as a singer? Oh, what a world. Taking over the number 2 spot is Demi Lovato. The singer has always been open about her struggles with mental illness and addiction, but that was not always the case. She wasn't very transparent back in her Disney days when she starred on Sunny with a Chance and Camp Rock. In more recent interviews, she has revealed that she struggled with bulimia after getting bullied for her weight while working on Disney. She said she was performing concerts on an empty stomach and started self-medicating for her depression. The pressures of her Disney career quickly caught up to her, which might be why she was so angry in 2012 when Disney Channel made a joke in one of their scripts about eating disorders. Demi lashed out at them on Twitter and tweeted, "I find it really funny how a company can lose one of their actresses from the pressures of an eating disorder and yet still make jokes about that very disease." They responded immediately and said that they were removing both episodes that included the jokes and said it was never their intention to make light of eating disorders. In our number 1 spot is Bella Thorne. This story of Bella has become famous ever since she shared it with her fans. She found fame as a young child on the Disney TV series Shake It Up, but it was cancelled in 2013 despite being the number 1 series in 2 demographics. People thought she was going to stay with Disney and move on to her next project, but it seemed like she was fed up with taking orders from them. After leaving the network, Bella revealed that one time they threatened to fire her after she posted a photo of herself wearing a black bikini. They ended up telling her mom that they cannot afford to fire her at that point, but if she does anything like that again, they will. The worst part about the whole thing was that Bella's mom was the one who bought her that bikini. Once this story came to surface, Bella opened up more about her Disney experience and said she was forced to talk with a higher voice so that she would appeal to Disney's demographic. Even off the show, like during interviews and press, she was asked to change her tone. For anyone who does not follow Bella, she naturally has a deeper voice. Long story short, Bella stopped tolerating the demands and went on to pursue a very different career. She's now acting full-time, putting out music, and is also running an OnlyFans company. No lie. Starting off our list, number 10 is Joe Jonas. If you're a fan of the Jonas Brothers, then you have to be a fan of Joe, who is often called the leading man of the group, even though I will personally argue that Nick is. He was the star in the Disney movie Camp Rock though, where he starred alongside Demi Lovato as her camp crush. Let's be honest, their Jonas Brothers band is a thing because of Disney. It's almost like Disney brought back boy bands for our generation during that time. You would think that Joe would have some appreciation for Disney after the amount of success it brought him, but in an essay he wrote for New York Magazine, he criticized them and the writing for their show called Jonas. He said, "The thing about the show was that some of the writing on it was terrible." He also went on to reveal some rules that Disney had that he thought was too much, like having to shave every day and wearing his hair a certain way. They also had to sugarcoat everything, and apparently their lyrics had to be approved beforehand. He talked about it and said, "We went along with it at the time because we thought Disney was our only real shot and we were terrified that it could be taken away from us at any moment." Luckily for them, they ended up leaving the Disney spotlight, and over 10 years later, they returned as the Jonas Brothers, not under Disney, and they were just as successful as they were the first time. I just saw them in concert last week. Coming in next at number 9 is Selena Gomez. Before she was taking over the Billboard music chart, she was a young girl starring on the Disney Channel series Wizards of Waverly Place. Her name became known because of her role, and she can't deny that she got a platform for her music now because of her time on Disney. But she hasn't. She's always been honest about the doors that they opened for her. But she also put blame on them for the pressure that she felt to be perfect and the fact that she was often overworked. During an interview with the New York Times, she opened up about her time on Disney and said, "I knew deep down that this wasn't what I wanted to do, being exhausted of forcing something that wasn't right. I had to have moments where I was crying. I was forced to get very uncomfortable for a while in order to make the decisions that I made." Not gonna lie, I didn't realize that her time on Disney made her feel that way. I guess as kids we just like see them so happy and we think that they're out there living the dream, but I was a little surprised to hear her talk that way about it. Truth always comes out. Sliding into the number 8 spot is Jake Paul. Now most people will know him as a famously obnoxious YouTuber actor, but he was actually a Disney Channel star and took on the role of Dirk in their series called Bizaardvark. During that time, he used his Disney platform to his advantage, and a lot of fans followed his YouTube channel as well, where he started to gain even more popularity. But if you have followed his YouTube channel, you would know that his content isn't really Disney friendly. He started posting things that were outside of the Disney standards, and he was even making the news because his neighbors were calling the cops on him for his disturbance and wild behavior. In 2017, he posted an announcement to his Twitter saying, I quote, "My team, Disney Channel, and I have come to the agreement it's finally time for me to move on from the Disney family and Bizaardvark. Being a part of the Disney family for the past 2 years was incredible and a dream come true." Professional of him, right? But after all was said and done, he started going back on what he said and publicly bashed Disney, saying that he chose to leave them. Rumors were going around at first saying that he was fired, so he was kind of a dick about it and made sure that people knew that he left them by his own choice and that he doesn't need them. On the Impulsive podcast, he said, "I'm sitting there on Disney Channel literally making crumbs compared to what I'm making doing my YouTube channel." Classic Jake Paul. That is like a classic Jake Paul thing to say. In the number 7 spot is JoJo. A lot of people know her for her music, but some people might remember her from TV series and movies like The Bernie Mac Show, Aquamarine, and Lethal Weapon. Turns out that JoJo was offered a role with Disney and she turned it down. And this wasn't just any kind of role, it was one that helped launch a completely new generation of Disney stars. She was offered the role of Hannah Montana. That is literally my dream, and it makes me so mad that she turned it down. What are you thinking? At the time that the show was in development, JoJo was embarking on her own music career, so they thought it would be the perfect fit. Because we all know that that girl can sing. But she turned down the offer, and during an interview with Extra, she said that she has no regrets at all about not taking the part. She also wrote on her MySpace page at the time, saying, "I was more concerned with being a legitimate artist. I wanted to do it on my own, the old-fashioned way, with talent, determination, and hard work." Girl, that sounds like you're throwing some shade there. I don't think being on Disney makes you less legitimate, and I'm sure they weren't too thrilled about that remark. Moving into the number 6 spot is Bella Thorne, another actress who threw some shade on the Disney name, even though it is the reason that her name is what it is now in the industry. She was once taken on the lead role in the Disney Channel series Shake It Up. It is what set her career in motion. She was able to make a name for herself through Disney, and even after leaving the network, she has continued on to have a very successful career of her own. She starred in movies, she released some of her own singles, she wrote her own book, and she directed her own porno. No joke. She's now a very open and authentic young lady who has no shame in expressing who she is in the ways that she wants to. And she was quick to bash the Disney name, saying that they controlled her and used their power as an advantage against her. She told ABC News that she had to talk in a completely different, higher pitched voice because it would appeal more to the younger audience. She also revealed that the network threatened to fire her for wearing a bikini on a family vacation when she was just 14 years old. Her mom bought her the black bikini and she took a picture in it which they deemed as too skimpy, and it almost cost her her career. During an interview with Under the Influence, she told the story and said, "They said, you're lucky that Bella has such a fan base that we can't afford to fire her at this moment in time, but if she does one more thing, we will." Talk about feeling the pressure. Like at any moment you could lose your entire career in front of the entire world. That's jacked. Halfway through the list, number 5 is Dylan Sprouse. If for some reason that name doesn't ring a bell, he is one of the twins that starred in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. It was one of Disney's biggest hit TV series, which later earned a spin-off series called The Sweet Life on Deck. However, the spin-off abruptly ended when the twins turned 18. Fans never really got a full explanation why, but Dylan had no problem sharing what happened, and he threw them under the bus in the process. Dylan says that Disney is the reason the show came to an end. In an interview with Vulture, he explained that Disney refused to work with them on where the show was going. He called them out and said that the network used them as faces for the franchise, but then refused to work with them creatively. He said, "I mean, we had a really awesome idea for where the show needed to go. I don't think Disney Channel was willing to work with us really ever, so we stopped the show." Alright, so not only is he claiming that they wouldn't work with him on their spin-off series, but he low-key just said that they never really worked with them. So I'm thinking that there's a lot more tea in his cup, and I want to hear the full story. Here we are at number 4 with Rowan Blanchard. This little starlet played Riley Matthews on the Disney series Girl Meets World. She did an interview with W Magazine where she spoke some truth on a network, and fans believe she's talking about Disney. She did not mention Disney Channel by name, but fans are saying she didn't even need to because it was pretty obvious. So I'm gonna put my faith in the fans for this one. In the interview, she spoke on the fact that she felt silenced on a network that is known for silencing its employees. Her exact words were, I quote, "I worked for a corporation for 4 years that is known for silencing and crafting your voice. So with that, I just had to very much stand my ground and separate myself, which I think I did." After hearing all the other stories on our list, this would make sense if she was speaking about Disney. Not to mention, she was with the network for 4 years from 2014 to 2017. So, all signs point to Disney. Since leaving this network, she has become a very outspoken activist, and she said she is happy that people now recognize her for that, not just for her time on the show. Alright guys, we are at number 3 and we have Miley Cyrus. Not really sure if this one needs an explanation. I mean, I think her entire image and behavior has been a complete betrayal to Disney, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't into it. I love her. But with that comes her big mouth where she has no problem saying how she feels, and she does not have positive things to say about the network. For starters, she blamed Disney for her struggle with body dysmorphia, saying, "I was told for so long what a girl is supposed to be from being on that show. I was made to look like someone that I wasn't, which probably caused some body dysmorphia." But now that she's off the show and more comfortable than ever in her skin, she has a lot more to say. Like this iconic quote, she said, "I don't give a shit. I'm not Disney, where they have to be politically correct and like everyone has bright colored t-shirts." I mean, she's not wrong. But the biggest betrayal of all came earlier this year in February 2019 when she did an interview and revealed that Disney underpaid her. She told Elle magazine that she was the least paid person of the entire cast, and they only did it because they knew she was a kid who wouldn't decline the offer of being on Disney. She also said that they would probably kill her for revealing that. But whatever, I mean they can't touch her at this point in her career. Not to mention, that is so crazy to me. Taking over our number 2 spot is Meryl Streep. This one surprised me a little bit. Obviously she is not a young Disney star, but she's one of the most iconic actors in Hollywood, so what the hell happened for her to betray Disney? Back in 2014, the actress made headlines after she made a speech at the National Board of Review dinner that completely bashed Walt Disney. Not just the Disney network, like Walt Disney himself. It was a long 10-minute speech full of nasty accusations about Disney, characterizing him as a racist and a gender bigot. Her words, not mine. She said, I quote, "Disney was perhaps or had some racist proclivities, and he was certainly on the evidence of his company's policies a gender bigot. He formed and supported an anti-Semitic industry lobbying group." It was quite the speech. She basically ripped them a new one, and her speech was applauded all over. Although I'm sure that anyone behind the Disney network was not joining in on that round of applause. Winning the number 1 spot is Chris Hemsworth. Now, he is not a bad guy. He did not bash the Disney name, nor did he refuse one of their roles. We know that he's been in their Marvel universe as Thor for years now, pretty much becoming an iconic hero to most fans. And everyone knows that when you are part of the MCU family, going to the DC side is a complete betrayal. Rumors began spreading 5 days ago claiming that Chris might be going to DC and taking on the role of Green Lantern. Now, it has not been confirmed yet, but it is worth mentioning because if this goes down, is gonna hit the fan. It wouldn't be the first time that an actor has switched from Marvel to DC Comics, but it would be a bold choice since he's played such a big role in the MCU all these years. It all started when articles surfaced claiming that Warner Brothers executives said that they were very interested in getting the actor over to the DCEU to take on the role as Green Lantern, which could be debuted in Dwayne Johnson's movie Black Adam. Nothing is 100% yet, so we're just gonna have to hang tight for now, but what do you guys think? Would you support this decision, or is it a complete betrayal?